Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another special edition of How Do I Do This Anyways? Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be remaking our keychain in Fusion 360, or not Fusion 360, in Inventor Professional 2023. So we made this earlier in the year in Fusion 360. We're going to learn some of the basic details and differences or the differences between Fusion 360 and Inventor, and you're going to get good at working in Inventor. Um, First thing you're going to notice is that instead of having a timeline across the bottom with the actions that you've taken, you're going to have this browser on the left-hand side. You need to make sure that that stays open. Other than that, the view cube and all that's the same. You've got a little bit different number or icons across the top, but you're going to see some familiar faces such as start a 2D sketch, extrude, revolve, but there's a whole bunch of other ones. Also, if you right click, your menu is slightly different. There's other options available to you. So I'm just going to go ahead and get you guys started. When you load up Inventor, you're going to start out with a screen that's going to be similar to this. It's going to have your recent projects here in this window, and it's also going to ask you over here in the browser side what you guys want to do. What you want to do right now is you want to create a new document. You want to create an apart file that's an IPT. Now, when this thing opens up, what you're going to see is a whole lot of nothing. So what we want to do is we want to click Start 2D Sketch. And it's going to give us our origins and our XY origins and all that stuff. Again, I'm going to go ahead and select this field where it says ZX plane. I'm going to select that one. So I got a top view. Now, what I've noticed on my view cube is that it flipped that way. Depending on where you click, it's going to flip different directions. Now I want to go ahead and just draw out a rectangle. Now, I notice right now, off the bat, that I'm working in inches. I don't want to work in inches. I want to 3D print this thing. So in order to change that, I need to come up here to Tools. I need to go to Document Settings, and then I need to click on Units and change it to millimeters. Click Apply, and then click Close. Now, if I come back up here to my ribbon up here, I come back to my sketch tools and click my rectangle tool again. And now my units are in millimeters. Now, something you might notice is that my cursor has that little yellow dot where I'm going to place whatever it is that the tool is, and it snaps green. When it snaps green, that means it's creating a coincidence constraint on that point. So right there, I'm creating a coincidence constraint on the origin. You want to always coincidence constraint the origin or on it at a corner of your object or in the center of your rotation if you've got something turning. So let's see here. I want to go ahead and I want to take and make a 50 millimeter by 25 millimeter keychain. Okay. Your maximum size is going to be 50 by 50 millimeters and then about 5 millimeters thick. So I'm just going to make it this size because I want it to be ish pocket size. Now, just like before, I'm going to go ahead and finish my sketch by clicking this green arrow. Now, by holding my center mouse button, I can still pan all over the place. I'm going to click my extrude button. The only geometry that I have that's a closed shape is just highlighted. I'm going to go ahead and say that that should be 5 millimeters thick. Hit enter. Now, what you should notice is that my browser over here changed a little bit. Now I've got this extrusion here, which is a feature. This is a sketch which was consumed by that extrusion. So we create our introductory, like the basis for your parts in sketches, and then you consume them with features. We'll get more in that later on. Now, this thing is my part so far, except that's a really terrible keychain. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to click the fillet tool. And I'm going to go ahead and say that I want this side, and I'm going to hold my control key as I click with my left button or I'm sorry, not Control, Shift. I'm going to hold Control and click there. All right, cool. So now both of these, I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, I want that to be 5 millimeters instead. Nah, how about 6? Whatever looks good to you, go ahead and put it on there. Just make sure it's a nice curved edge because that's going to wear nicer and it's also going to feel more comfortable. Now I'm going to click OK. So now that fillet is now in my little browser here. So now I'm going to create a couple of chamfers. My chamfer, that's where it clips the edge. So I want to clip that one, and I want to clip, holding Control, that one. I want those to be the same. I'm just going to go ahead and say 4 millimeter. Let's look at that. Nah. In fact, I want to go ahead and do, I can't do both of them at one time like that. But I can do, let's see, 10 millimeter and then 5 millimeter. Actually, we'll do 12 millimeter, and then I'll hit the tab button to go to the next block, 6 millimeter. That'll look a little bit better. Do that one. And now it kept the box open, so I'm going to go ahead and select this one. But you see, if I keep this same 12.6, it doesn't work. So I need to put 12 there, and 6 there. Now that looks fairly decent. I'm going to apply that, and now I'm going to go ahead and click Cancel because I'm done using my chamfer tool. All right, now I want to round these edges off. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click my fillet tool again. And since this fillet and this fillet should be identical, I'm going to use that right here and click OK. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a different fillet for right here and right here. Now it's saying 6 millimeters again. I think that looks decent, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now I've got my edges kind of trimmed on this thing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my hole for my little beaded keychain there. So I'm going to click, start a new sketch, click that surface. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a point. Okay. Now I'm just going to arbitrarily place that point. And then I'm going to hit Escape to drop my point tool. Now I'm going to constrain that into the right spot. You see, I want to make sure that that's in the midpoint. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a construction line. And you see how you got a green line here? I'm going to click there and I'm going to drag it across there. I'm going to click again. Then I'm going to hit Escape in order to drop that tool. Now this line, I'm going to click it, but I'm going to come up here and make it a construction line. Okay, so that's a line that you can measure from, but it's not going to be able to be used to create any features. However, what you can do is you can go ahead and you can make things attached to them. So I'm going to then create a horizontal constraint. Where is it? There it is. Between that and that. Boom. Now, I'm going to go ahead and also hit Escape in order to drop that tool. I'm going to dimension from that point to that point. And I'm going to say that that's going to be 12 centimeters or 12 millimeters. Okay. Now I'm going to finish that sketch. I'm going to go ahead and use my hole tool. And I'm going to pull a hole right there. I want that hole to be somewhere 5 to 6 millimeters across. I'm going to go ahead and say 6 here. And yeah, that's looking a little bit wide there, but we're going to go ahead and click OK, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to first fillet these edges because I want the top edge and the bottom edge and all the way around the hole to be filleted. So I'm going to select the top edge, and then I'm going to select the bottom edge. And now it just did that because, wow, that's a huge fillet for there. Let's try 2 millimeters. Yeah, that 2 millimeter one looks fairly decent. So I'm going to click that and now zoom way in with my wheel. There we go. All right, so now if you hold the center mouse button and you hold shift. Oh, wait. There we go. Hold shift and hold your center mouse button. It should rotate it around so that way you can see that you have exactly what you want. I'm going to click OK there. But the thing is that I want my hole for this thing to be farther over. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to edit this. You see how the hole consumed the sketch that had the point? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click this and I'm going to say edit sketch. And instead of being 12 millimeters across or away, I'm going to say I want it to be 8. And then I'm going to look at it. I'm going to finish the sketch and see how that looks. And it just moved it right on in. Maybe that's a little bit wide of a hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and edit the feature now. Say edit feature. And instead of being a 6 millimeter hole, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make that a 5 millimeter hole. Click OK. And it made the hole a little bit smaller. That'll allow me to squeeze this hole a little bit farther over there in this sketch. Okay. The nice thing about any CAD program is that you can go back and you can kind of tweak things and change things and work with them in order to make them exactly what you want. Now I'm going to finish the sketch again. I think I'm going to go with that because I'm going to have plenty of room for my text up here. Okay. So now I've got this keychain. Looks great, except I need my name on this thing. The whole point of this object is so that way it can be attached to your flash drive. So that way we can tell whose it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start a 2D sketch on that surface, that front surface. Drag it back to the center. Now I'm going to put a text box on it because I'm going to put my name on it. I'm just going to drag out my text box across the surface and it pops up like this. Now, in order to get your text selected in the right size, you have to tell it what size you want before you start typing your text. And also you need to tell it what font you want and also if you want it bolded. This Tahoma 7 millimeter bolded works well for the geometry that I have. And I'm just going to type in Glazer. You should write your first initial and last name at least. And also your bell. So I'm just going to say period 7. Okie dokie. Now, obviously, that's too big. Okay. So what I'm going to show you how to do is I'm going to show you how to manipulate this. So you see how your text tool is still illuminated right now? You want to hit escape a couple of times to drop that text tool. And now you see how I can light it up and select the text box and stuff. You want to hover over it so it lights up and double click it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change this to period 7. Okay. That looks better. Okay. Now you can go ahead and you can play with, like, you can make it in the middle. You can do all kinds of stuff with these tools. Play with it a little bit, see what you like, make it look good. Okay. Also, another thing you can do is you can grab the text box and you can move it in different places if that's what you want to do. Okay. So whatever you want, make it look decent, make it look easily read, and make sure that these are nice bold letters so they 3D print well. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to take this sketch that's right here and we need to change that into a feature so it actually 3D prints. So we're going to go ahead and click this emboss tool. And now we're going to select the sketch we want to emboss. I'm going to select the letters of my name, and you see how they all turned blue and they highlighted? That means that I actually got that. So now I'm going to select engrave from the face. And then I'm going to tell it 1 millimeter, 1.5 is good too. Don't go that deep, and certainly don't go all the way through your keychain, okay? And now I'm going to click OK. And there we go. Actually, I think that looks a little too deep. So again, I'm going to come over here to my browser. I'm going to right click what I want to edit. And I'm going to edit the feature. The feature is the 3D thing. So I'm just going to say 1.0. That's a little bit better. I have 0.4 millimeter layer height, so that would be several layers high. Now, if I want to change my text at this point, I need to click here and I need to right click and edit the sketch again. Now I can get to it to edit it if I so choose. But right now, I'm pretty happy with how this is looking right now. Now I have the back that I could customize. I don't really have anything I want to put on that right now. But if you do, make sure that it's very boring, hate to say, but very easy to 3D print. Nice and bold features, that sort of thing. Keep in mind, it might end up being filled with bridging material, so you might end up having to dig that out. So now, I got this thing. Now I need to save it. This is one of the biggest differences between Fusion 360 and Inventor. When you're saving it, it does not want to save into the program. You have to be very specific about where to save it, because if you just arbitrarily click save and then click OK, it is going to dump this thing somewhere in your computer, okay? What you want to do is, this is where you want to use your flash drive that you've been given. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to find the flash drive. Right now, this computer, it is in the E drive. So I'm going to click that and I'm going to find my folder. You should start a folder for your class called Intro to Engineering Design if you have not already done so. This file should be in a new folder, this part file. So I'm going to click New Folder, and it just ejected my drive for a second. Try again. Let's see here. Glazer, Intro to Engineering. No. Inventor 2023. New folder. Cool. I'm going to right click that, and I'm going to rename that to be Intro 23. Now, my part file, I'm going to call this Nametag. AG for my initials. And you see that .ipt that's at the end, all automatically generated? That means Inventor part. So I'm going to click Save, and my name should pop up right there. Now, the next thing you need to do is you need to check through your File Explorer to make sure that the file is where you think that it is. Okay, so I'm going to click here. I'm going to go into my flash drive. I'm going to go into Inventor 23, which is my number one thing. Oh, didn't put it in there. Okay, so you need to make sure that it goes where you think that it's going to go. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to export this as an STL file. So I'm going to click Export, and this is going to be a CAD format. And now you don't want to change it, but you do want to place it in the right spot. You want to make sure that you are picking STL file, and then you click Save. And then the wheel is going to spin for a moment. And then what you should be able to do is click that, check your file, and you should see your STL file created. Okay, that file is what you then want to upload to the new keychains folder. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. We are going to get these 3D printed soon, so that way we can get these onto our flash drive so they're easy to identify. Take care, everybody. Have fun.